Hello, welcome to BIO225 Microbiology Lab, and welcome to my wonderful little camper here. If I had known in January when I got this thing that I was going to be spending 40 hours a week in here, I probably would have gotten a more cozy setup, but you know, take what you can get. Well, I don't want to spend a lot of time here. My name is Mr. Haringa. I'm the course director for BIO225, and yeah, I'm going to be teaching you lab to 2 classes this semester. You may have me for lecture as well, or you may have Dr. Irwin, who does a great job as well. So what I want to do here briefly is talk a little bit about the structure of this course. Obviously, things are a little bit unusual in terms of spacing and how much time we have. And so I'm just going to be going through just the basic information here. So this course is microbiology, and the only reason that we're not doing it exclusively online is, whereas almost all the other classes are, is that there are just certain things that you need to be able to do hands-on and to meet your qualifications for completing this course. We need to be able to learn how to be aseptic. We need to learn how to work with microorganisms. Most of you are going into some kind of health field, and it's important for you to have a little bit more hands-on, not just virtual, but hands-on experience. And so we are doing limited number of labs in person. You have already heard a little bit about how we're kind of splitting up the course, and so that only 6 people are in the classroom at any given time, which means that we're going to be basically spending 4 weeks covering 4 labs, and then the rest of the stuff is going to be virtual. So let's talk a little bit about that and kind of the structure here. So you're going to be essentially, as you've seen, you're in one of 4 sets, right? You're either coming in on Monday, Wednesday for the first hour, or you're coming in Monday, Wednesday for the second hour of lab, or the same for Tuesday, Thursday, first hour or second hour. Okay. And so I'll be doing the same thing 4 times in a row on Mondays and Tuesdays and on Wednesdays and Thursdays, which sounds really exciting. Actually, I'll be doing it 8 times in a row because I'm teaching 2 labs, so it's going to be real fun. But the majority of the stuff that we would normally do in lab is all been pushed on Blackboard. And so some of it, you'll be able to tell. It's going to be designated as specific weeks when things are going to be due, and I'm going to be going through a weekly video. So every week at the start of the week I will do one of these kind of videos just to walk you through everything that's going to be due and kind of the order that you should do those things in. Some of it will be, just you have to get it done at some point before Sunday at midnight the next week. Some of it, the due dates will vary. We'll talk a little bit about that. When it comes to the online formats, some of them are going to be lame. I apologize, but there's limited time to kind of get all this stuff ready. So some of the labs that you're doing online will just be you reading, PowerPoint presentation basically of what you would be doing in lab, and then looking at a separate presentation of results, interpreting those results, answering some questions, and then taking a quiz on it. Others are going to involve more virtual activities or outside reading, etc. It just varies from one to the next based on what was available for free, and so you'll notice you don't really have any other costs other than your PPE, which we're going to have for the in-person components. So let's go there. Let's talk about a little bit about what you're going to need to get for lab. One, you do not need to purchase a lab manual. I didn't see any reason to do that, since most of the stuff that you're going to be working with is going to be free access online, or are labs that I have written myself, and I don't need permission to post those on Blackboard. So if I wrote it, I can put it up on Blackboard for free, and then you don't need to purchase the lab manual. But you do have to get your goggles and your lab coat. All right. And that's going to be very important. We'll talk a little bit about that when we get to safety in just a minute. You will need those by June 29th or June 30th, depending on which day you come in. Okay. And it's going to be very important. We're going to be working with bacterial cultures on those days, and any point after that, you're going to make sure that you need to bring those with you, because you don't want to be counted absent for one of your few actual lab meetings. All right, attendance is going to be very important because we only have so many times that we're meeting already, and so you have a limited number of misses that you can have. Really, you can miss one, and after that, you're going to get withdrawn. Let's see. Let's talk about where you can access some information. So you found this video in the Getting Started button on the left-hand side of Blackboard. Also below that, you can see some information about myself, about how long I've been teaching here, etc., etc., some of the things that I'm interested in. You may also see that if you are perusing other videos on YouTube of my music stuff, etc., etc. You'll also notice there is the syllabus posted, which I'm pulling some of this information from there, so you can grab that, as well as the schedule, which is just very basic, covering which labs we are doing on which days that we are meeting in person. And then you also have the chart that has the meeting times. So depending on if you're coming in on Monday, Wednesday, at what time, look for your name on that list. And you probably have all established that already. Okay, so just briefly about that schedule. The first week when we come in, this is going to be on Monday or Tuesday when you come in. We're going to cover just some basic how to do stuff in the lab, how to do the safety details, where to sit, how to stay, socially distant, all that stuff, how to disinfect, and just how to be prepared. Because really, a couple of important things. It's important that you're going to be there on time. You're going to have some pre-lab activities that you need to complete in advance, because I'm not going to be lecturing in lab. I'm going to be expecting that I'll have something up on the screen, but you're going to go as soon as we get in there, because an hour is not a lot of time to get things going, to get things set up. I'm going to have minimal wasted time during lab. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're as prepared as you can be, just to go and run with it, with a little bit of instruction. So week 1, we're doing intro stuff, and then we're going to work with the microscope. Week 2, we're going to do the gram stain, and we're going to learn how to culture bacteria on petri dishes, and learn how to be aseptic, which is really one of the biggest take-homes for this course in lab. Week 3, we're going to learn how to count or enumerate bacteria, doing a quantitative plate count, and we're going to be observing the results and reviewing for our techniques practical. Okay, so you are going to be assessed in week 4 on actually performing the stuff that we were doing in lab. So that includes looking under the microscope and finding stuff that you're looking for, performing a stain, and seeing the correct things under there, the correct colors of organisms, and learning how, basically doing an isolation streak, getting a pure culture, getting isolated colonies, proving your aseptic technique that you aren't contaminating things, and that basically is going to be assessed, because that's the main purpose of actually doing the lab, is making sure that you're capable of completing the tasks that are necessary at the end of the lab. And so that week 4, we're just going to do that techniques practical. So it's just a Monday and Tuesday, and then that's the last time we're going to meet in person. All right, so if the higher ups had it their way, we wouldn't be meeting at all, because nobody else is, really. But these are important things that we have to do. All right, last thing I want to talk about, let's see. I just note, anytime that we're going to have a in-person meeting, there are going to be assignments that you have to complete beforehand. I think I already mentioned it, but you're going to have due dates for completion prior to that lab. So for the microscope lab, you're going to have to do a virtual microscopy thing prior to coming in, so that you know all the parts, that you know everything that's going on with a microscope, how to use it essentially. Then you can just practice with it. For a gram stain, same thing. You're going to do a virtual gram stain and get the basics of understanding of it. Okay. The last thing I want to talk about is safety. We're going to address some of these things in person on Monday or Tuesday when we come in. But I just want to touch on a few things. There is a safety quiz that you need to complete, and it's going to be due prior to coming into lab. So that's going to be the 21st at midnight. All right, now the safety quiz, you may have already taken this before if you've taken any other lab class, and it's pretty straightforward. You have to get a 100 on it, but you have unlimited attempts. And there's just a couple things I want to touch on, just because there's a video to watch, but it's not really useful, and just to keep you from retaking it over and over again just to try and get the right answer. I'm going to touch on a couple of things that you should be familiar with. So first off is this term MSDS or SDS. So some of you may already be familiar with these terms from Bio 101. Actually, you should be familiar with everything in here since you already took this quiz, most likely. But just in case, that is the material safety data sheet or safety data sheet, depending on when you hear about it. MSDS is what we used to call it. SDS is what it's currently called. And this is just information about every chemical that we use in lab. And then you can find out, if you spill something on yourself, how do you treat it, how do you deal with it, etc., etc. When the fire alarm goes off, I will show you where we go. But you want to make sure that you are turning off your Bunsen burner or just kind of closing out your experiment. We're not, taking forever, but we want to close down our stuff so we don't start another fire if there is actually a fire. Or if it's a drill, we don't want to start a real fire. Right? So we turn off that stuff, and then we'll hit the exit. Let's see. If there is a fire and you have to use the fire extinguisher, which is very unlikely, since I will also be in the room and will most likely deal with those things. You may be asked about this PASS system, P-A-S-S, this acronym, which is pull the pin, aim, squeeze the trigger, and spread it back and forth, or spray, I don't know, whatever it is, something like that. Okay, so just be familiar with that term. That should help you with your quiz and maybe simplify it a little bit. And the eye wash. If you get something in your eye, we know that's not going to happen because you're going to be wearing your goggles at all times, unless I say otherwise. For instance, when you're using the microscope, you can't really use the microscope with your goggles on. And so, I will let you know, but you'll be wearing them most of the time unless I say not to. Okay? So anyway, just a couple of things to kind of get you ready. It's going to be fast-paced. Some of it will be kind of at your own pace, as you'll see. And we'll talk more about it when we come into class on Monday or Tuesday. If you have any questions in the meantime, you can see where to contact me in my instructor bio. And you all have my email address. My phone number is also there for emergencies. If there's something like a test, that's not working and it's a timed thing, feel free to give me a call and we can resolve it. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you. I'll be checking to make sure you've done your safety quiz by first lab meeting, and I think that covers it. So we will talk to you soon. Looking forward to it.